A year and a half ago, we made some big changes to our overlanding rig, swapping out the canopy and hardshell tent with an all-in-one canopy camper, and kitting it out with built-in cupboards and an amazing electrical system to make life on the road a breeze. However, with the extra weight on the back, we quickly discovered that some upgrades were needed to keep the Hilux stable and safe on the road. So over the past year, we've been at work fitting new suspension, air springs, power brakes, and new wheels and tires. So far, we've been incredibly happy with the whole setup. It's conquered the Kalahari, it's rolled through the Ruchtesveld, and it's brushed aside the Baviaanskloof with ease, but in just over a week, we'll be heading back to the Cederberg, and with some particularly challenging trails planned, there are one or two things just sitting in the back of my mind making me uncomfortable. The first is that the last time we visited this part of the Cederberg, we could feel the clutch starting to slip on some of the steep passes, even in low first. So a clutch upgrade has always been on the agenda at some point. Secondly, the lower control arms took some knocks, and while trying to do wheel alignment recently, I was told that with the state of my control arms, I won't be able to fully align my front wheels, so something has to be done there. In this video, we're going to be getting it all sorted. We've got a clutch waiting for us at Hudson Auto, but first, we've pulled into our old friends at LA Sport to get new control arms fitted. And if you don't recognize the look of this place, it's because they've moved to an impressive new facility. LA Sport has been one of the companies that has been incredibly supportive of this channel since the very beginning. A great group of knowledgeable people that carry a wide variety of top quality products. Here in their new premises in Port Elizabeth, they have the space to put everything on show, so it's quite fun to walk around here. And they also have a new workshop that allows for quicker turnaround times. Today we straight into the workshop to get some brand new SuiperPro upper and lower control arms installed.
Well, it's been over a year since we came here to LA Sport and got a bunch of work done. If you remember that, we put on a set of power brakes, which really was necessary to help with braking performance with all this weight we have. We also did some stuff with the suspension, replacing the old suspension with some Formula 4x4 suspension. Today, we're continuing on that same vein with sort of suspension performance with an upgrade of our control arms. These are the upper control arms from SuiperPro and the nice big beefy lower control arms. So this will not only help us to get the geometry correct for the lift we have, but also just give us more robust parts, which should help with some of those big bumps we have when rock crawling and doing these 4x4 trails that we've done and will continue to do. We leave for the Cederberg in a week, so clock is ticking, and this stuff will definitely give us a bit of peace of mind.
The logical question that you might have at this point is, well, what's wrong with the factory Toyota control arms? Are they not good enough? Well, actually, the factory control arms are very good, but mine are damaged, and it makes more sense to replace them with something that more correctly fits the geometry of my lifted suspension. Here's George to explain more.
So George, we are switching out my factory control arms, which I had to do anyway because they're actually damaged. I was told I need to replace them with aftermarket upper and lower control arms. Can you explain what are the benefits of doing so? Is it, just that they are more robust? Is it geometry? Is it both? And when would someone look to replace their control arms?
Absolutely. In your case, you damaged yours, so it's a no-brainer, you upgrade. But when you raise a vehicle, all your geometry, all your caster cambers, everything is affected when they need to set it. So this puts everything back into spec with the offset bushing. It's a stronger arm. Your upper control arm is also offset. So everything is back into spec once you've raised your suspension. So you can set everything 100 times better and 100% accurate. So it's all about your alignment and getting everything to work the way it was supposed to work originally, back into spec. And yeah, obviously a lot stronger in the standard items. It's SuiperPro that we're using, SuiperPro upper control arms, low control arms. It's part of Formula 4x4, Fulcrum. So amazing product from Australia, and it's just getting really, really popular.
Yeah, we hate to admit it in sport, but in 4x4, the Aussies definitely know what they're doing.
4x4, they do know what they're doing, absolutely.
long before we have the new control arms fitted, and with the original parts removed, we can get a closer look at the differences. On the upper control arm, you can see that the Toyota part uses a single steel sheet rolled into a C shape to give it more strength, while the SuiperPro part uses closed tubing. It's just a stronger design. Another difference is the bushings, which are offset and have a legendary reputation for outlasting everything else in the market. I'll note here that if the control arms aren't within your budget, you can buy SuiperPro bushings, which will make a big difference in themselves. I would highly recommend these bushings. With everything installed, the wheels are refitted and the Hilux gets sent off for wheel alignment, which can now actually be done properly with a full range of adjustment that these new parts provide. Next up, the clutch. This morning we find ourselves back at Hudson Auto, and today we're going to be fitting a aftermarket clutch to my Hilux. Now, the story behind this is that just over a year ago, I went to the Cederberg, to actually the same place we're leaving for in a week, and while trying to get out from one of our campsites, we had to climb out of a really steep hill with some rock crawling, and even in low first, with the weight of my vehicle and the bigger tires and all that, I could smell my clutch burning. So I've got a little bit of PTSD from that trip, and today we're going to make sure that the vehicle is ready to handle anything that's thrown at it. So yeah, Hudson Auto, we've been here before, we've done a whole bunch of work here. Trust these guys, so let's go inside and let's get the clutch fitted, shall we? At Hudson Auto, we meet up with Cornell, who will be overseeing the installation process, and once again the bucky is lifted to give us access to the meat and potatoes underneath. I must say, as much as I want to trust these big hydraulic lifts, I would not want to be standing under my bucky right now. That thing's heavy. To gain access to the clutch, the whole drivetrain has to basically be stripped down, starting with the drive shaft. The drive shaft sends power from the gearbox to the rear diff, and we need to get the whole gearbox out to reach the clutch. The gearbox removal is a fiddly job, so while the guys are hard at work, let's take a look at the new clutch.
So what we have here is the Exedy clutch kit. This will give us about 25% more clamping force and 800 Newton meters of torque is what it can handle, which is plenty. This comes highly recommended from all my 4x4 friends who use Hiluxes for, fun days out in the dunes or rock crawling or, anything. So essentially we've got the main clutch assembly here, and you can see these spring plates in the middle which provide some of that clamping force, and then you've got the clutch plate. So this is what starts to smell very funny if it starts to burn, and essentially this plate, it's almost like a big brake pad, and it presses against here, and that's what provides the friction to connect your drivetrain up and get the wheels turning. But yeah, interested to see how this performs. It comes with bearings and a few other things, and we'll do a bit of a comparison now as soon as my factory clutch is out, and we'll just show any visible differences that we can see. This turns out to be a slightly bigger job than what we thought, because to actually get the clutch assembly out, there's a beam that comes across the bottom, and the rock sliders that are installed on the bucky are fitted onto that beam. So we have to take the rock sliders off. So I feel a bit sorry for these guys having to do extra work, but it's got to be done.
Eventually the gearbox is removed and we can take a look at the factory clutch.
So we've just managed to take out the original clutch parts, and instantly you can see the wear and tear and the coloration from the very high temperatures that have been reached over here. Here's the original clutch disc. I don't want to touch it too much because it's making my hands very black, but you can see it's actually worn out quite a bit. And then, as I said here, the coloration on this is probably due to just very, very high temperatures. As I said, we've smelt that clutch burning before when we've had to do a lot of rock crawling and stuff. So that's what we're seeing there. And this new one with the high spec should just handle things better and be able to grip properly instead of slipping. Underneath the buck here we can get a much better picture of what actually goes on, but the engine is directly behind here. You can see the sort of area here where the engine shaft provides power to all four wheels. This is obviously turning over here when the engine's running, but then we need a way to get that power to the wheels, and that's where the clutch comes in on a manual transmission vehicle. You put your foot on the clutch and you press against those springs, which separates the clutch disc from the plate that actually presses up against it. And then when you release your foot off the clutch pedal, you're then allowing the spring force to connect them again, and that friction is what pushes the two surfaces together and allows the engine to actually send power to the rest of the wheels. So the transfer case in front here, when you select your four-wheel drive or two-wheel drive, it can then decide where that power is going to go. Well, it actually is always providing power to the back wheels, but then when you select four-wheel drive, it then connects to the shaft that runs to your front wheels, and that's how you get power to your front wheels. But yeah, we're going to need power over the next week as we go 4x4 in the mountains, so hopefully we can get everything to work properly.
The flywheel had been sent off to be skimmed, and when we get it back, you can see how it's intentionally been skimmed in a circular pattern with a rough finish to get the best possible friction against the clutch plate. Now everything has to be reinstalled all over again. And that's it. There's our new clutch in its new home. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Next up, we'll be heading to the Cederberg with the dogs for a wild but relaxing journey through one of South Africa's great wilderness areas. At least that was the plan. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and we'll see you then.